Hey folks, welcome to another week of Spreading the Baseball News with Larry. One thing interesting about the Chinese Professional Baseball League is I see or I've heard that in the second half of the season it's going to be using a different baseball, one that evidently is less juiced. So we'll see what the results are, see if suddenly the pitching in Taiwan gets a little bit better and the hitting comes down to earth. So we'll see what the second half brings for all these hitters. Just this week, I'm going to talk briefly about the Fubon Guardians, and obviously they are having a rough year, struggling. And one of the things they have done, I think, to try and shake up the team and is bring up some of their young players, bring some life into the team. Which reminds me, by the way, of the New York Yankees in the early 2000s. I forget which year, but in May of, I think it was maybe 2003, 2004, the Yankees were struggling. And the Yankees actually brought up two players that really brought life back into the Yanks. Those players being Wang and Robinson Cano. They were two highly respected minor leaguers. They brought up AAA. And they did seem to turn things around for the Yanks. So that's something the Fubon Guardians can think about as well. So I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes on some young players that have caught my eye. Obviously, these are not necessarily the best players. They're kids, really. Not the best players in the organization or in the majors last year. But these are kids that I think show real prospects and real talent. One of them, and we haven't talked about any of the catchers in the league, is Daipei Phong, a catcher. I believe he wears number 95. Not a great hitter, but from what I've seen, also a kid, obviously. But you don't necessarily need great hitting out of catchers. Obviously, there are some great hitting catchers in North America, Gary Sanchez being one of them. Dai has a decent average. One of the things I've noticed in the games he's caught is he seems to do a very good job of framing the ball and doesn't seem to have a lot of movement behind the plate when he catches the ball, so umpires get a good look at the pitch and hopefully can make a good and accurate ball strike call. I haven't seen much of his arm. I don't know if he's got a great arm or a decent arm. Blocking pitches, he seems to be athletic, so he's one player that I think has some potential. As I said, he's a kid, I think about 20 years old. And as I said, I haven't noticed anything, I haven't spoken too much about catching in Taiwan. So, player to watch. Another player to watch is third baseman number 67 for the Guardians, Xing Yuanshu. Again, another kid, probably about 21 years old. Seems to be a decent hitter. Hitting, I think, in the low to mid 300s, 330, 340. So he's got some real talent, not a real power hitter, but he's got a decent average, and for a young player, a decent sense of the strike zone, not an awful lot of strikeouts. And again, these are two players who really have limited major league experience and show some real prospects for the Guardians in the second half of the year. One other player that I noticed, number 29, center fielder Shun. Shun's Wei, I think his name, I'm not sure. Also a young kid. Again, not a power hitter, and you don't see a lot of power out of really young players. But he's someone else that I think may add some life to the Guardians, and hopefully if you're a Fubon Guardians fan, hopefully they will have a good second half of the year. We'll see what happens with that maybe less than juiced baseball. So those are a couple of thoughts. Thank you all for watching, and hopefully I will see you all next week. 谢谢大家收看，你们有什么看法请你留言，下个星期见。